What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 305 of the Atlantic Files. This week, we are talking about the NBA Competition Committee looking into the offense being a little more advantageous. Tim Duncan versus Nikola Jokic in the internet debate of a lifetime. Redick talking about Doc Rivers not being accountable for literally anything. Is there any hope for the NBA All-Star Weekend anymore? And in the MVP race, should Jayson Tatum be considered? Plus, we welcome Tom Deasey to the show. So without further ado, let's get into episode 305.
Welcome to the Atlantic Files, where humor and vibes collide. Nets the Sixers, the king of the court. Jokes that hit you one more. Atlantic Division, we own the scene. Comedy, food talk, every routine. Mike Bash, Clausen, Fischbein on the mic, making you laugh every episode right. Game is strong, court to kitchen. We're never wrong. You know what time it is. It's time for the Atlantic Files.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Atlantic Files, the number one podcast on the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. As always, joined by your host, myself, Alex Fischbein, Dennis Big Sexy Clausen, and this week we welcome Tom Deasey, Diesel, to the show. What's going on, fellas?
I'll talk first since I'm the new guy.
He's been here 5 minutes. He's making rules already.
Yep, I'm in there.
That's what he does.
No, I don't know. Sports just seems like a shambles right now. There's literally scoring, because I'm a hockey guy too, but scoring in hockey and the NBA this year both have been up. So it's been a tough watch. Baseball the last couple of years, it's just like a home run fest. So I'm glad that topic's getting brought up tonight. Just about offense in general being just kind of a disaster. So,
Tom, you got to calm down a little bit. We just don't jump right into basketball talk.
We do, though. We do.
He's like when a girl says, "Hey, you want to come over?" And he's got his pants down around his ankles before he even walks to the door.
No, I have assless chaps on.
Even
They're
better.
just ready to go.
Yeah, relax. Go take your vape out. Just chill. Just have fun. You know, if that's possible on this show.
Chilling, vibing, chilling.
No, I need to break the wine out.
Yeah, there you go. Little vino, you know what I mean? Get it popping around here. Also, I will be bringing out the BovadaSportsbook.com odds for some of the things we're going to be talking about tonight. So we'll have some odds for all of you degenerates out there that love sports betting like myself. So we will have that as well.
It's the habit that we all enjoy. We hate that we enjoy, and just wish we had never been introduced to. I think.
Exactly. Sports betting being allowed for just right on your phone is probably one of the worst things to be allowed.
Well, and how quickly it got upgraded too.
Right.
You mentioned Bovada. When I was 2016 is when I first started betting on there, and their platform then was just you had to get wire transfers to get your winnings out, which was the worst thing ever because the longer those took, the more you wanted to just bet the money you had. You sit there, you're like, well, I have $2,000, I could just use it because I'm impatient. And now
but this wire transfer is going to take a week.
Exactly.
So you guys feel the same that way about sports betting. I feel that way about jerking off. I wish I never figured out how to do that because once you do it, you can't stop. It's over.
I mean, they all just fall under the addiction category. So I mean, they kind of go
dopamine is going
hand
crazy.
in hand. Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing where technology advancements have really taken off.
Fuck I'm curious. Any of you guys try the VR stuff yet?
I have not.
Don't fucking lie.
No.
Tom.
I never bought. I'm too poor for the goggles. I can't do VR. I don't have the goggles.
No, Samsung phone I have, or like I had, it was a Galaxy S7, came with a freaking, like, you could put your phone in it and wear it, and it was the most uncomfortable thing I have ever put on any part of my body in my life.
Well, these must have evolved because I was at my barber a couple weeks ago. Well, before tonight. Shout out to Johnny, by the way. So he goes, hey, after we're done, come in the back. I got to show you something. So I go, okay. So I go in the back. He has these goggles. And I go, what the fuck? I don't want to. Yeah, you got to try it. I'm playing this zombie game. And I swear to God, I felt like I was getting attacked by zombies. So then I asked him how other stuff looked in it. And just so happens the Wi-Fi crashed at that point in time. So I wasn't able to experience that. But I always wondered.
Was it the new ones, those Apple ones?
No, it wasn't the Apple ones. It was the other one. But I was like, I can't imagine things getting any better than they are now.
Right.
Because I'm like scared. Like if I put these things on and I really like it, is this how artificial intelligence takes over?
AI is gonna be like, oh, it's a Thursday afternoon at 2:05 p.m. I think you could use reverse cowgirl.
Right, because I'm not going on top. I could sure as hell guarantee you that. Not doing any work.
See, but now if the AI is listening, you're just confirming this as a strategy that's gonna work. Like you're done. It's over.
At this point, I have no fucking idea. But all I know is that when I put these things on and these zombies attack me, instead of being scared for my life, I started thinking how porn would look on these things. So stay tuned.
I mean, it's a natural evolution because I feel like every single type of technology has started off with like, how can this technology help me in my everyday life? And the next step is literally, how can this technology be used for sex?
Right, jerking off for guys. Who's the best customer on the planet? Guys buying porn.
I mean,
yeah.
I've never bought porn in my life.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's just too many like free options now.
Yeah, but there's always
too many.
Of course there is. You guys know who you're talking to here. What do you think is my first day on the planet? Like I don't know this stuff. I'm just saying that there are guys though. You know those guys. Like there's a level like us, but then there's that step above the guys who are like buying panties and sweat socks and
bath water.
Any farts in a jar, like anything they can get their hands on, they're buying it.
Did anyone see that movie Salt whatever? It's like a ongoing thing that's been going through the internet because of how weird the premise of the movie is. I'm trying to think what the name is. I have
no idea what you're talking about.
It's like Salt something.
Yeah, if you can find this, I'll look up the little synopsis thing.
Yeah, because apparently in the movie, the guy like fucks a grave. He like watches another guy like jizz in a bathtub and then drinks the bath water. I really have no idea.
Saltburn?
Yes, that's the one.
So what kind of stuff you guys watching?
So I haven't seen it.
My Google search that successfully found this was Salt movie sex grave bathtub, and it's the top result. We nailed it.
See, that's what I'm saying. It makes
holy
all right,
shit.
Let's bring up the IMDb. The first thing on IMDb says a student at Oxford University finds himself drawn into the world of a charming and aristocratic classmate who invites him to his eccentric family's sprawling estate for a summer never to be forgotten. That does not do anything justice at all because it sounds like it's just like, oh, they go on a cool adventure. Not like, oh, it's a summer where you're going to fuck a grave.
So there's a quote on this like review that I opened, and it just says, Oliver drinking the bathwater as it drained showed how far his desire and passion for Felix went. Like, I don't want to watch this.
I don't
I'm
even
not
know what to
interested.
fucking say. I'm so
welcome. Holy
Do you think
shit.
that when our founding fathers were developing this country that they had this shit in mind ever?
I'm sure they did some shit that we would never hear about because most of them couldn't even write. Like, a bunch of people probably got up to some wild shit back then, and they just couldn't document as well as we can now. I don't know.
You might be onto something.
Yeah, I mean, one of the titles of the review says "murky, pretentious, derivative mess."
Nice. That might sum it up pretty well, I think.
I'm gonna file that under human centipede.
Yes, this is.
Here's the thing, though.
Here's the thing, about
Human Centipede to me was more watchable.
Oh, bullshit!
Than what I heard about was going on in this movie, because I voluntarily watched Human Centipede. I have not watched this movie.
You certainly know about it, though.
Yeah, because all I saw was people on the internet shocked by it.
But I've never heard about this. So what sites are you going on?
Twitter. Shout out to Doc Rivers.
You're on Doc Rivers page. I got it. Okay, makes total sense now.
I could do a great segue there, but I don't want to talk about it because I know I'm going to get fired up about it.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I saw that on your topic list. I was like, oh shit.
Oh yeah, it'll get real. But yeah, I literally have just seen people being shocked about it, and then I believe it was Deanna's sister that watched it, and so yeah, I have no desire to figure out what this movie is like. Just literally zero.
Oh god.
Yeah, no thanks.
Oh dear Lord. I can't let myself go down this rabbit hole. I can't.
Oh god, are you watching clips? Don't do it.
No. I typed in. Hold on, let me see exactly what I just searched here. Fucked up movies like Saltburn.
Oh god.
And of course there's
YouTube.
Probably. So there's a freaking Reddit. There's a Reddit like whole subpage for this movie.
Oh Jesus.
And this post just starts, liked Saltburn a lot. It made me feel things.
Oh.
Okay. I'm not reading these comments. I'm actually going to just...
We're going to
click the X. Dude, he's in there.
This is why my theory of the world needs to get hit with a nuke and we just got to start all over.
It's coming.
There's no coming back from this.
The everything that's happening in the world today is difficult to find the positives in the long term.
There's plenty of positives.
I mean,
but most are like fleeting and temporary, so it's more about like positives that actually stick around.
Exactly. It's like, I can see this being the end of the world. AI, for example. We've made plenty of movies.
You give way too much fucking credit to AI. I can tell you that right now. How many times have you asked Alexa to play a song and she has no idea what the fuck you're talking about?
I mean, in the beginning days, she had no idea what I was talking about ever. But now, she turns on all my Christmas lights and my security cameras and everything. So for all I know, Alexa's been watching me jack off.
Good for her.
Yeah. She's getting off in the corner.
Exactly.
She's going to go into that territory. You know how you can't do that in front of your pet?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Shut the door when they're outside so you don't feel bad of them like watching you.
Yeah, but you can't, like, when you're sitting there and you're trying to do stuff and your animal is looking at you, it's kind of fucked up. Because you don't know, like, are they going to be judging me forever now?
I feel like our pets judge us for a lot of things that we just don't think about.
Do you put the pets outside the room?
Most of the time.
Oh, so there have been some times where the pet's still in there?
Yeah, they were asleep.
So you think?
Yeah.
As far as I know.
You see them start moving, and they're clearly having a dream as you're doing that. I'd be like, okay, we're done.
And we're going to call it a night.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, because normally they look at you like retarded anyways, and then when you're doing that, you're like, yeah, okay, you got to go outside.
Yeah, you got to wait out there for this. Anyway.
Well, I trounced mommy real quick. Before you got to go like get a couple treats and shit. And
is that when you send Bogey into Dava's room? Send Bogey.
See, it's such a. I can't. She might be. Well, I'm not going to talk about this. We're talking about you, not me.
What? Just because I don't have kids yet?
Right.
You're an easy target.
Apparently. But anyway, to get away from whatever rabbit hole we're going down now, I did want to bring up, because we were talking about it right before we hit go live, the paper straws thing, Dennis.
The motherfuckers. Let me tell you something right now. My favorite shake from a fast food place. Can you take a guess?
Is it from White Castle?
No, I wish. I wish I had a White Castle around here. So, believe it or not, Arby's makes the best shakes on the planet. I love Arby's shakes.
I don't think I've ever had one.
Yeah, Arby's shakes by far. So every time I get out of getting my haircut, I always stop and get a milkshake because it's on the same side of the street. So I don't have to make a left turn. I could just make a right turn. So I say, hey, while I'm there, I might as well get a fucking shake. I do this every time I get my haircut. Go up there, I order my shake. Next thing I know, I'm driving away. I pull out the straw, and there's a fucking paper straw in there. When I tell you that this thing did not work.
For a shake? That's
like
this fucking thing did not even work properly.
Oh, God.
I am so disgusted with things. I want to call Arby's. I want to do something and tell them they got to fucking stop with these paper straws, because they never had paper straws up until now, and now all of a sudden I'm driving away, I got a paper straw. They get all soggy. Like so whoever invented the paper straw, come find me so I can punch you in the fucking face. That is the worst invention. I mean, we got to do better than that. We have VR headsets and things that you can put on your cock to help you jerk off. We can't come up with something better than a fucking paper straw.
I mean, to be honest, that's a fair point. That's a very fair point.
I get it. Mean, they had that video with the sea turtle getting a straw pulled out of his nose. I don't want to see that happen. All right.
Right.
But we got a billion people on the planet throwing sharks in the water without their fins on so they can get boner soup. But yet I got to suffer and I got to have a paper straw. That doesn't even fucking work.
I think the best thing I saw was people saying how, like, from the Super Bowl, it was like 500 some private jets left Las Vegas after the Super Bowl was over, but we have to use paper straws.
Right.
As if like...
Yeah,
put that
exactly.
into context here.
Exactly.
We got three a garbage patch the size 3 times of Texas floating the Pacific Ocean, and yet I got to use a paper straw. Got people in India shitting in the river, and I got to use a paper straw. What are we doing here?
You're making fair points.
We have enough problems as it is. You want to add this onto it? I am so disgusted.
I just don't understand.
I've had it.
I don't understand how we like regressed, because I think it was either Dairy Queen or McDonald's with the McFlurries had that spoon that also acted as a straw, because it was like the square thing, and
that was McDonald's.
Yeah,
but that makes sense. At least it was plastic.
It was, but also you could eat it with the spoon normally, and then if it melted, then you just turns into a straw. How'd we go from that to paper straws?
And the spoon thing, the reason it was square is because that's what hooked up to the machine to spin it. Like it was it was literally like a 3-in-1 combo. Perfect.
Yes. Perfect invention. They need to leave it alone. I don't think I'll be going back to Arby's anytime soon.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you can't even drink the shake with the shit they give you, I mean, just a waste of money at that point.
You can't drink a shake. You can't even drink regular stuff because it tastes like paper.
Yeah.
It's absolutely garbage.
And the moment you take one sip, it's ruined.
Yep.
One sip of anything.
Give me the option if I want to save the planet or not.
And honestly, if I'm at a restaurant where you're giving me like a glass of water, just don't even give me a straw.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'll just drink out of the glass. Like it's fine.
Well, then you can't really trust who is drinking out of it. Let me tell you, on my way to Florida, in some of these hillbilly states, these fuckers with their oral hygiene is garbage. I'm gonna start bringing plastic cups out because I don't know if I want to eat anything.
So
at a restaurant.
Where I know you said you hated driving through PA, but like where was like the roughest drive?
West Virginia.
I could say
that entire state. And sorry for West Virginia people, but West Virginia is a giant trailer park. Those people, I tell you, are half of them didn't have all their teeth, and then the teeth that they did have were rotting out of their gums anyways. Half of them, their eyes were crossed. Like when you talk about inbred trailer park, we're talking about West Virginia here. Anything. I used to think the South was great. They're slow, and it makes total sense to me why the Hawks are such garbage, why the Pelicans are such garbage, why the Hornets are such garbage, because people in the South, they're morons. Makes total sense.
I mean, it's funny because like you were describing West Virginia, but it sounds like Kensington and Philly. So if that's the case, that's pretty bad.
You know what? I'll take it though. I'll take Philly any day of the week. When you go to these places and you see these people's teeth, I don't know how you get to that point in your life. But it goes back to my point. You're saving plastic from the people who don't use toothbrushes, apparently. So let me have my straw.
Again, I think it's a fair point. I don't see any bad points that you're making, to be honest.
If you were a toothbrush salesman in West Virginia, you're going out of business.
They probably pulled out all of their sales.
I think that's big facts, yeah.
It was absolutely troubling to me, but then it clicked. I got like an epiphany. I said, you know what? This is exactly why the Hornets suck. Because the South is just garbage.
Because of these trailer park motherfuckers, Charlotte Hornets are.
If you can't brush your teeth, you can't build a basketball team. Come on, it's a straight line.
Exactly.
They all want to talk to you like you know, they're all slow and they're all like, "How y'all doing?" I'd be like, "Can I just have my fucking gummy worms?" And I want to leave this gas station.
It's funny you say that though, because like I really enjoyed the Netflix show Drive to Survive about F1. And so, but they came out with like a NASCAR version, and I was like, let me watch that one because like I got into F1 through this Netflix series. Maybe this NASCAR one, learning about some of these drivers, it might be cool and whatever. It's the difference between like F1 has all the rich people and the celebrities and all that kind of stuff that come through to these things. And then NASCAR has all these people in like trailers and crazy like broke down cars and stuff like around the racetrack and everything. And it's just like they're both devout fan bases, love the sport and everything, but such complete separate like ends of the financial spectrum that it was just hilarious to see.
Well, you know, the people who are going to NASCAR events are the same people who were like, you know, they live in a trailer. They actually where they live, they could just drive it to the track, park, get out, and then go watch the race.
Yeah, I mean, how many clips do you see of like the infield of these races? It's people just literally on the roof of all their trailers with like they put the grill on the roof. I'm like, no one with any sanity at all is gonna just do that. And then they zoom in on them, and you're like, all right, those are some sister cousins right there, and there's like their aunt, uncle, dad, and mom, and it's 2 people. You're like, Jesus Christ.
And they have like 6 coolers of beer lined up, like all natty light.
Yeah. And they can drink all those coolers and they won't feel anything. Because they've been drinking like literal piss their entire lives. So their entire set of internal organs are just completely done. Just done trying entirely.
But damn it, Jeff Gordon's gonna get this win.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm done traveling through the South. I can't.
Well, I know you drive because you hate flying, right?
I hate flying because there are a bunch of idiots on the planes.
I mean,
I no disagreement here. Yeah.
You're gonna run into a bunch of idiots no matter what.
Right,
yeah,
but
on a
I
plane,
can be armed when I'm in my car.
See, there you go. And when you're on a plane and you get the unlucky draw of having like the mom and dad with 4 kids, like under 6, and then one cries, so they're all crying, and then you have to deal with that for like 4 hours straight, and you want to commit ritual suicide on yourself. Yeah, you know, not great.
This is true. This is very true.
I've had it.
I gotta find the clip of from Top Gear when they did a USA special. They went through Alabama, and they painted a bunch of shit on each other's cars, and the literal goal was to see who they could get killed. So, this is like 2005, and the one dude had like a white Buick, and they painted "Vote for Hillary." And then the other one was like...
Oh, you ain't making it out of Alabama with that.
No. Well, the other one was like, "I love men," and a like spray-painted dick on the back of the truck. And then they pull into this gas station, and this lady who fits the description that you gave of the Southern person with -5 teeth and a voice that's just like straight out of... I don't even know. She was like, "You trying to get fucked?" Like they look, like literally gets bleeped, and then they just get in their trucks and they're running, like get in the cars and they're running. There's literally trucks full of fucking hillbillies chasing them and shit, like down the road. It's like, oh my god. Like,
see, in this, I have no problem with other races. I have no problem with people who want to be gay or transgender. I don't have any problems with that. I have more of a problem of people who don't brush their fucking teeth.
And
because
paper
to me,
and paper straws.
And paper straws. But to me, if you don't brush your teeth, that says a lot about you as a person.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And these are the type of people though that hate black people. You'll be hard pressed to find a black person with bad teeth.
Honestly?
Well, I mean, we can go back to Kensington. Let's just go up to Lehigh Ave in Philly, and I mean, I'll introduce you to some folks, but
I mean, they're all bets are off.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of even just driving through there. You're like, I don't know what I'm gonna see in the next 2 minutes, but it's gonna be a lot. Yeah. Like, especially when you're under the Frankfurt line.
You were talking about the VR zombie game. That's real life zombie game.
Yeah, just on Frankfurt Avenue.
They got hookers?
Probably looking for meth, yeah.
Yeah. They make themselves known. They'll make themselves known.
Oh yeah. There's videos of it.
I'll take a blowy, and then on the way out, I'll get a Philly cheesesteak.
There you go.
It'll be a toothless blowy too, though. So you'll have to fight the inner demon there.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
You can have no teeth as long as you're going down on me.
Fucking had it.
Oh, Lord. All right, let's actually get into some basketball now.
I'm already pissed off. Now you want to talk about this garbage?
After that rabbit hole. If you're already pissed off, all right, let's segue into, do you think the NBA All-Star Weekend and NBA All-Star Game have any hope ever again to be fun and relevant?
0%. 0%. People, and I'm sorry, Tom, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but people didn't like the All-Star Game as it is.
True.
All-Star games in other sports are basically nobody cares. The Pro Bowl, they don't even play that anymore because nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about the NHL All-Star Game. Nobody cares about. I mean, it was fun back in the 80s when you were a kid, or the early 90s, but it's run its course. It's not fun anymore. The break is way too long.
Yeah.
It's absolutely. So people actually hate it even more probably because the break is so long that not only do you get shitty basketball in between, that they try to make it seem like it's a good event, but you got to wait a week before you can watch a game again. And if anything, you could. It's apparent by the score that they just don't care anymore. And it's the way I didn't watch one single second of the All-Star Game. I didn't even know who won until the next morning.
Same.
Because I don't care.
Yeah, I just looked up the highlights of Maxey because I was like, I just want to see if he did anything useful, and then just read a post. The guy was like, I got PTSD. Maxey had 10 straight points, and then Doc subbed him out. I was like, yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right.
Of course.
But like especially this year's, it's just like the best thing of this entire All-Star like break was 100% Steph Curry versus Sabrina Ionescu. 100%.
Yeah.
Like,
that
and because
was the
it
most
was
entertaining thing. Yeah,
because it was really competitive too, which I thought it would be because she's a stud. But like, I'm assuming we've all seen The Last Dance. We've all watched that. Like so that the episode late when you finally see him meeting Kobe at the All-Star Game. All the players are in their team's uniform. They're actually playing. Like, it was a whole different feel with that generation, and that's so far gone now. Like, seeing how Luka, Lillard, some of the shots they were putting up in this game, like, dude, you're like 4 rows deep behind the ref table, like the freaking announcing table. Like, why are you shooting from there?
Yeah,
it's not even basketball at that point.
So here's the thing that I have another problem with. So Dennis Schroeder just gets traded to the Nets not too long ago. Next thing you know, they say during the All-Star break, he went to Toronto and saw his family. Then he went to Germany and saw his mother, his doctor, and his personal trainer. You would think, though, that as garbage as the Nets are, because they're horrible. They're probably one of the worst teams in the entire league. That you fuckers would all stay together and say, "Hey, we don't deserve a break. Let's figure this shit out." I mean, where are we at? You got, and even Grayson Allen's coming back. They made a comment on his tan the other day that he must have went somewhere where this. What are we doing here? Like, you need a break that bad? From what? Sucking? What is Dennis Schroeder? Dennis Schroeder hasn't even played. He barely played in Toronto. Not enough to warrant like getting a break.
Right.
Yeah.
Grayson Allen certainly misses enough time, and it's not like he's even the #1 scoring option in Phoenix. So what does he need a break for?
I mean, the big thing too is we as in just like the basketball fan collective talk about, players being soft, so on and so forth. And we talk about how like eliminating back-to-backs would help just people not having to rest. If you took out the All-Star break and gave back that like week and a half, whatever it is, you could probably eliminate a good bit of the back-to-backs because you're not shoving things in the first half of the before the All-Star break and post All-Star break. and shoving them into a confined schedule. You have easily a week there of things that could space out a little bit more, because a lot of the teams too came back and played either Thursday, Friday or Friday, Saturday. So you're throwing them right into a back-to-back, literally the first 2 games back from the All-Star break. Whereas that defeats the purpose of like even the NBA talking about how they were going to limit back-to-backs. So what's the point of watching something that bores the shit out of everybody and giving us the bet? Like, because everyone loves that the part of the schedule after the All-Star break, because that's the playoff push. So games start meaning even more. The playoff races get even tighter, and so on and so forth. And that's what everyone wants to see. And instead, like you said, Tom, we all wanted to see Sabrina versus Steph, which ended up being very entertaining. She had the same score as almost all of the people that advanced to the finals of the actual 3-point contest. She probably could have won it. And outside of the 3-point contest, the dunk contest was god awful. I love Mac McClung, but like, we've had the dunk contest for so many years now that there's really, the players aren't concerned with coming up with new dunks. If you're going to have a dunk contest, get those people that are like the professional dunkers that's literally all they do, because they're going to be the only ones that come up with creative things. If you're not
give me the gorilla.
Yeah.
Give me
a
the gorilla
mascot
for
dunk contest off the trampoline would be amazing. I would watch that.
Yeah. Well, I think about it, right? It's like the whole point of the All-Star weekend from a fan perspective is like, or if you're Adam Silver, it's like you want to entertain your fan base. Right. Like, that's literally what it's for. That's why you have all the best players in the league, some excluded because some like guys always get screwed every single year, but like that's the whole goal. And the product we're like getting now is just not, it's not even close. Like I wrote down a little like note for me to look at. Like the way MLB used to do it was there was actually an incentive to the All-Star game. If you, whichever league won was the home team in the World Series. Like, that's a massive thing. And I know, like, they can't really, I mean, they could do that in the NBA. It might make them play. But then you're just going to get all the other people that are like, oh, well, do standings even matter? Like, records, etc. Right. But I'm thinking about it, I'm like, you want to see the sport played at the highest level by the best players. That's what this should be about. And it's just become like PR for every player to just do something that's going to get them noticed even more. It's like, we know who you guys are already. Yeah. Like, we're fully aware. It's like the random occasion a guy like Lauri Markkanen, you know what I mean? Like, if he makes it, you're like, okay, Europe knows. Yeah. And some like people who really pay attention to the landscape of the NBA, but like the casuals might be like, who the hell is this white dude? Like, right. But it just drives me nuts, and especially the you said the dunk contest. Like the last good one was Levine and Gordon. Yep. Both. Yeah, because that one was like it hit a level that hadn't been hit in so long, and it's not going to get touched again. Right. It's just like they were creative, or they took famous dunks and somehow made them even more insane. Right. Like the Levine's dunk in I think the first one he was in. He took off from it was almost like the 3-point line. I remember seeing that. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is that?
And I'm like, that's Gordon under both legs over top of a mascot.
Yeah, and you're like, that's not physics. Physics tells me you can't do that. And I just saw it, so it happened. Like, that's the kind of shit that we've just missed for so long. It's like, just, ugh. Like,
it would be amazing to me if Zach LaVine just played.
That too. Very true.
I would be more impressed by that.
Yeah.
Also a good point. But now it's like, and this is no disrespect to Mac McClung and those guys, but like now they're having to bring up guys that haven't even played a fucking NBA game this season. They brought up Obi Toppin's brother, which I literally saw half the people watching said I didn't even know Obi Toppin had a brother. The reason people know Mac McClung is because he won last year, but last year they were like, oh, hey, I remember him from Georgetown, but like, where has he been? And then on top of that, you got Jaylen Brown, who was just fucking awful.
He was so bad.
The guy dunked the ball and then covered his eyes as if like, we saw that your eyes weren't covered. And then I don't even remember who the fourth person. Oh, it was Jaquez. Like, love watching him actually play basketball, but his dunks weren't anything. So
if you lose in the All-Star game, that's like getting beat up by like a person who's like, if you're Jaylen Brown and you lose the dunk contest, that's like if you get beat up by like a guy who's like a foot shorter and 100 pounds lighter than you are. Like you're in a no-win situation there.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason why the big names don't do the dunk contest anymore, because they don't want to be turned into a meme. So I will give Jaylen Brown the fact that, like, hey, at least you did it. But at the same time, if you're going to fucking do it well.
No, what they need to have is a game where guys who never play just sub in. Like Zach LaVine, they can just show him subbing in because everybody forgot what that looked like. Ben Simmons checking in.
Or how about all the guys that have been hurt play wheelchair basketball?
Oh my
something.
God.
I'll watch him play 2K. Just give me something.
True. But also, I wish the rookie-sophomore game would go back to the regular fucking rookie-sophomore game. I don't want any of this tournament bullshit with just like 4 or 5 different teams. Just give me the same rookie-sophomores they had before. There was nothing wrong with that. And now the celebrity game, I don't know if it's just me being old or the fact that celebrities are just from the weirdest parts of the internet now. I knew about 3 total people in that game. One of them being Jennifer Hudson.
I was there for CJ Stroud. I was like, I just want to see him body some people.
Yeah.
And he did.
The only people I knew were Jennifer Hudson and the NFL guys. It was like him, the receiver from the Rams. His name slipping my mind right now. And Parsons.
Was it Cup? Was it Cup this? Or
no,
Nakua?
the rookie. Puka Nacua.
Yeah, Puka. Yeah.
Those are the
Here's
only
what they
people
should do. They should have that sub-in game where guys just sub in and out. They should also have a co-ed game with the WNBA, mix them up, the WNBA people, the NBA people. Yeah. Whoever loses has to perform oral on the winners. And literally, let's have a pizza eating contest.
Oh, God.
To see, let's just spice this thing up because it doesn't matter anyways. It's fucking stupid.
I think I told you this, Dennis, a few episodes ago, but I enjoyed the one where it was like it was 3 people per team, and it was the current NBA player, the NBA legend, and the WNBA player, and you had to do make a layup, a free throw, a 3-point, and a half court shot in the fastest amount of time. I liked that because you had a representative from each different part of basketball in the same city. And it at least was like cool. It was like pretty quick, and it was just fun to see like who won and who did it in the fastest time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch it. I've had enough. It's.
I mean,
just stop it.
Fair. So going into
now, if they put my idea into, then I'm gonna be interested. But until then,
with the VR goggles,
something.
The NBA All-Star Game, sponsored by Pornhub. Like, no, actually, sorry. Let's get the year correct. It's just gonna have a big ass OnlyFans logo at center court.
Exactly.
Just, oh boy.
You see Kelsey Plum blowing bowl.
Jesus Christ.
All right, next topic.
Oh God.
Oh no!
This episode's gonna get us removed from all platforms.
Whatever.
Just blame me. I'll be the scapegoat. It's fine.
All right. Now,
Oh,
let's
shit.
move on to let's just go to the MVP race because I want to touch on this real quick before we hit the Doc Rivers part of everything. So, a thing that set off all of this was the fact that I think it was Draymond Green said that Jayson Tatum is unfairly given more hoops to jump through to be considered in the MVP race than players like Joel Embiid or Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic. As of right now, according to Bovada, Jokic is the favorite for MVP, which nobody is surprised about. He's at minus 165 right now. After that, the top guys following him are Gilgeous-Alexander at plus 250, Doncic at plus 600, Giannis at plus 1800. Then you get to Jayson Tatum at plus
The
20.
fuck out of here with Giannis.
Yeah,
I mean, I agree. He has Dame now. He has some help is really what I'm getting at. But that's also the argument against Jayson Tatum. Look at his fucking team.
the dude has had help his entire time in the league. I'm sorry. Like, there are more hoops in the way because to be MVP, you have to stand out that much, in my opinion. Like, you have to watch them on tape and just be like, this dude is the guy of the league right now. And Jayson Tatum is phenomenal. Like, he's consistent. He can play two-way pretty solid. Like, he's not a liability really anywhere. But like, there hasn't been a year of his career yet where I can look at the other top guys in the NBA and go, yeah, he's better than all of them right now. Full season, like full stop. Like it hasn't happened. Like, and even this year, his numbers last year were better. Like, he looked better too. I just don't get it. Like, I understand he is a face of the league because he's on one of the teams that is always going to get that kind of attention, but I just don't see it at all.
So, sorry, honey, didn't mean to interrupt. Alex, you okay?
Go ahead.
So, do we have any Donovan Mitchell talk at all?
We should.
Look what the Cavaliers have done.
Yeah,
in the last month or two, how good they've been. Look at Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic led a team to a championship that comprised of a Jamal Murray who was 50%, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope who was in jail not too long ago, Michael Porter Jr. who's Aaron Gordon. Like, that team is not that good, and Jokic just makes them better.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell makes that team. The Cavs aren't a super good team. They don't have a super deep team. They're good enough, but they're not like. But Donovan Mitchell is playing well, probably some of the best basketball he's ever played, and the Cavs are actually playing. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that team isn't really super good, but they're a good team. Like, Chet's playing well and everything, but he's a reason why they're good. He's a reason why they're a top team. Luka, I mean, he's had Kyrie, but Kyrie's been out a lot. He had that foot issue where he missed a bunch of time. Luka has been playing through a broken nose. He played through a hamstring. Like, so if I had to say, like, my top four would be Donovan, Jokic, any other two fucking guys. I don't even remember what I was talking about. But Giannis is nowhere even near that. I don't want to hear anybody say that Giannis is an MVP because he's not.
I'd probably put him above Tatum.
I would put him above Tatum, but I wouldn't. Tatum's not in the top 5. I can tell you that.
I agree. No, I agree with that.
But the fact that Draymond Green just says things just to say things, he's a dope. Like it, and the fact that the Warriors re-signed him and they're actually contemplating keeping Clay, and they got to break Klay Thompson's balls, but yet they re-signed that idiot, just shows a lot about why that team is the way it is.
I agree. Well,
I make a lot of sense on this show.
Well, it's just you look at, I mean, yeah, you could look at the Warriors and be like, you have to realize at some point every franchise needs to move the hell on. You have to. It's a business first. It doesn't, like, you can't have these kind of like, you're our guy forever mentality. That's just not how it goes. But like, the way I've looked at the MVP race this year, it's like the Tom Brady effect. You take Brady out of New England. It doesn't matter who you plug back in; they're not going to be as good. If you took Shea out of Oklahoma City, they're so far under 500 right now. It's like unbelievable. Like that's how I look at that. And then same with the Cavs. Like Mitchell's a great name to pull up because they went on that streak was nuts.
Yep.
And then you see he misses a game, they lose that game, and then he comes back and they start winning again. It's like, gee, I wonder what the recipe for success was.
I'd put Brunson over Tatum at this point.
I would too.
100%. The Knicks this year have been good.
Yeah, and I looked up. So last season the Celtics were 5-3 without Jayson Tatum. This season they're 2-1. So they have a winning record without Jayson Tatum. And to Tatum's credit, he doesn't miss many games.
Yeah.
So I will give him that. That's always a plus from his point of view, just the availability. But just looking at some of these other guys on Bovada, I'm just like, I would take like the guys after Jayson Tatum. There's Kawhi Leonard. There's Brunson, who I would put above Tatum. Anthony Edwards, I would put above Tatum. Donovan Mitchell, like we said, I would put him up there. Domantas Sabonis, I would put him above Jason.
He can't even make an All-Star team. You think he's going to make MVP?
But Sabonis, he's been playing out of his mind this year.
Exactly.
Oh, hey, listen, you're not going to find a bigger Sabonis guy than me. I'm just saying, if you want to talk about how stupid the All-Star game is,
exactly.
De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis aren't in there, and Damian Lillard starting over Maxey and Brunson and all those other guys.
And Sabonis is having an even better season this year than he was last year. And last year's season was insane. He led the league in rebounds last year at 12.3 per game. He's
with a thumb injury.
With a thumb injury. He's at 13.2 per game this year. And he's at 8.5 assists and 20 points a game.
Which goes back to my point when I sit here and I scream about Sabonis being a top 5 player. Nobody listens to me. Maybe some people.
I agree with you.
I've liked him since he came into the league. He's such a good. He's reliable anywhere you need him on the floor. Like he creates space for people. He can shoot adequately from a variety of spots. Like he's not one of those one tricks where like I'll throw James Harden under the bus a little bit here. Like he doesn't have that one signature move that you just expect every time he comes down the floor. You know what I mean? You're expecting a step back with James. With Sabonis, he can pass and he has players to pass to and he's not afraid to do it. But he also knows he's a big boy and he can move some people and play underneath. Like it's what he plays the way I've wanted Embiid to play forever. You know what I mean? Just use the physicality. But we'll get into the doc misusing talent, I'm sure. Right. But that's how I looked at Sabonis. I'm like, this is literally he's like your I'm not gonna say discount, but he's just like a lesser Embiid in terms of his play style. He wants to shoot and move and be physical.
But he's also he's essentially like a Jokic too, because I mean his distributing skills, like 8 assists a game as a center.
Yeah, it's nuts.
That's unheard of. But everyone only wants to talk about Jokic in that regard, whereas you have another guy on the West Coast doing the same exact thing. The only thing with Sabonis is he's not as flashy, and not saying that Jokic is some sort of flashy player or anything, but he's been on teams that have consistently played well and has been a central part of those teams. And Sabonis has also been a central part of very good teams, but they just don't really talk about Sabonis because nobody really talks about Sacramento. Sacramento hasn't really been in the focal point of anything since they had Chris Webber and Jason Williams and those guys.
Yeah. I agree with that completely.
insane to me that Sabonis is even that low in terms of MVP because he should also be up there. But yeah, while Tatum is a very good player, you're never going to hear me say that Tatum sucks or he's trash or anything like that. Very good player, one of the best players in the league. However, I just don't think he's top 5 or top 7 to put him as an MVP.
And he doesn't act like an idiot.
Right.
He's not a crybaby.
He's available.
He's certainly available. There was last season or the season before, but he had that significant shoulder injury that they didn't even really talk about it because he didn't really talk about it, but he was playing for a pretty bad shoulder injury.
Like he's only missed 36 total games in his entire career so far.
I mean, I love durability, and you got to hand it to him. So
yeah,
right.
I can look at Tatum and go, you have the skill set to produce an MVP level season. It's just not this. Like he is good enough to do it, but it's team basketball. The Celtics have all, like, since he's been there, it's always literally been such a team effort. He's never going to put up the stats because that's not what they're about. And that's why they do year after year sit right at the top of the Eastern Conference, because they have a good formula and they stick to it. So
exactly. I mean, you got guys like Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford. Like, that is a stack. Luke Cornett. Peyton Pritchard. Like, you got
Sam Hauser.
Team. We just naming white guys now?
I mean, no,
Nemus Quinta.
They now have Jaden Springer, which
that bothers the shit out of me, but here we are.
Yeah. But it like, that's the thing is, like you said, Tom, the Tom Brady effect is something that a lot of people, not even just the voters, but a lot of fans, everybody use. If you remove this guy from this team, is the team still competitive or not? You remove Joel Embiid off of the Sixers, you see how bad they have been. You remove Jokic from the Nuggets, you see how bad that team can really be. You remove Jayson Tatum from the Celtics, you still have a very, very good team.
Did we say Sam Hauser?
Yeah.
We did.
Okay.
Well, because the Embiid thing, too, is brutal, because it's like, it shows bench-wise. Like, if we look at the Celtics, the way they're built, they have size, they have speed, they have outside shooters, they have guys who can drive. Like, even if you lose Tatum, you still have all the versatility that you want. That just based on what your roster is, top to bottom. The Sixers, as soon as you lose Embiid, every single bit of size and strength you had on your team is gone. It's gone completely. Because we did not address the backup center position in the same way that we did years prior with Drummond and Dwight Howard.
Well, in all fairness, though, they did try to get Drummond back.
They did.
Per reports, and they kept Paul Reed, so...
yeah,
and that's the thing.
Paul
I like
can't be a center.
Reed. Right, but every time Mo Bamba takes the floor, I think I lose a brain cell. Like, I can't think of a more of a waste of space for someone who is over 7 feet tall.
Like, the only situation where I would put Mo Bamba on the floor is if Boban Marjanovic came out of retirement and we were playing the team he was on, and he was going to come out, because that's the only dude alive who is slower than he is. Like, it just...
Boban
kills me too.
By the way,
is he still? Where is he at?
Houston,
bro. He is no way. Does he have minutes this year?
No, probably half a minute. But
that's what I was gonna say. I just we haven't noticed him because he probably
he's
literally.
Funny. That's why they like keeping him around.
Yeah,
he's a locker room guy now.
Exactly. The chemistry goes up.
Exactly.
The chemistry rating goes up, but like. It just frustrates me because I'm like, Paul Reed, you could literally if we had the ability to just use him as a forward, as his size would suggest, I think he would be way more comfortable. We'd probably see him play a lot better because he'd be more sure of himself and his role.
Right.
But
maybe Montrezl Harrell will come back.
Montrezl Harrell.
He's still hobbled.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. But I do got to say, though, I got to give it up to Philly because Philly did make some pretty, at least they tried. They added Oubre. They brought in Lowry. They added Buddy. Like, at least they're trying to do stuff. I think the team's in a better place now than it was at the start of the season. I mean, granted, Embiid's not there, but if Embiid was there, like, they would be a bigger threat, I think, than they were earlier in the year.
100%.
Because they did add depth, but
yeah, the only downside is the Springer thing because now the bench defense just decreased so much because of that. That's why that trade pisses me off, is he was becoming such a good defender. Just a dude you could literally he was literally Matisse 2.0 but short. Just a dude who he could not score at all. You could literally let him have 20 yards between him and another player. He'll still miss a layup, but Jesus.
True. I mean, very true. But the last thing I'll say about Tatum too is just if you remove Tatum, your defense doesn't get worse. Like, Embiid is the best defender that was on the Sixers. So the defense has also taken a huge hit. If you remove Giannis has won a Defensive Player of the Year award. Like, that defense gets worse. If you remove even Jokic, who I've bashed him for his defense, but it is good enough to where if you remove him, you notice it's gone. So
just a guy that big that can move. You know what I mean? Like, that's you're gonna miss that.
Right. And even Gilgeous-Alexander, who in multiple seasons has averaged either close to or over two steals a game and has a solid perimeter defensive ability. When you lose him, you notice that. Jayson Tatum, you noticed some of the offense gone for sure, but the perimeter defenders they have can make up for that.
Yeah. Well, because I opened up, this is one thing I was definitely looking at, was the defensive win shares for top to bottom. Number one this year.
You big shot.
Yeah. Donovan Mitchell's number one, and it doesn't shock me at all. Rudy Gobert's number 2. Anthony Edwards is number 3. So I looked at... but I look at Ant, I'm like, so let me get this straight. You score, you can distribute, you get a fairly solid amount of rebound. You get rebounds for a dude your size.
Yep.
And you're a good defender. And this stat literally takes every spot on the floor into account. So you're just good everywhere. And then Tatum is 7th. So his defense this year has been good enough that you might feel it for a couple games until they adjust on matchups. But they have 2 other guys in the top 20. So it's that thing you just said. It's they're all around, these guys know how to defend. So that loss you won't feel as much as other teams with their stars being out. And that's something that you kind of do need. I mean, you have to think about in an MVP kind of category.
Completely agreed. So, with that being said, let's move on to the JJ Redick, Doc Rivers, because this is something I've been waiting for here. I'm going to play the clip of JJ Redick talking about it, so those back home that might not have seen it can hear it and see it real quick. So let me bring that up.
Side note real quick. No one's going to react to Doc's audio there. We've been here 7 minutes since we showed that audio. Nobody's going to react to Doc's audio.
Do you want me to get it repeated for you?
He's doing it. Repeat it. I don't have to repeat it. I've seen the trend now. I've seen the trend for years. What's the trend? The trend is always making excuses. Doc, we get it. Taking over a team in the middle of the season is hard. It's hard. We get it. Just like getting traded in the middle of the season is hard for a player. We get it. But it's always an excuse. It's always throwing your team under the bus. They lose to Memphis. Oh, it's his players. Memphis was playing G League guys and two-way guys. Then you look at his quotes over the weekend. Now he wants to take credit for the James Harden trade to the Clippers working out? He wants credit for that? There's never accountability with that guy.
Well,
There's never accountability.
Well, let me say a couple of things. Number one.
I love JJ so much.
Everything he said right there was 100% fact. What he has nothing to do with the trade to the Clippers. Literally nothing. He wasn't even on the team. On top of that,
he said though that they asked Doc about James Harden, and he said he put a good word in for him.
Of course he did.
Even though the Clippers have been talking about him since last season.
True. Exactly. And there was video not too long ago, or there was a quote or whatever, like a day or two ago, where he was talking about the Paul George trade to the Clippers, and he asked Kawhi, like, are you sure about this? Because Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be a really great player in the NBA. Because Doc Rivers just can never be wrong. He has to just know everything. And he was like, are you sure, Kawhi? Do you really want Paul George, who's one of the best players in the NBA? Because, I can see down the road that Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be an MVP one day. And on top of that, like, Tyrese Maxey, like, I'm not going to play you because you got to, like, learn your lesson, and then you're going to be really great one day, and you're going to win us a playoff game. And on top of that, it's just so hard coming in to be a coach of a team midway through a season. I don't know why the Bucks did this. I told the front office that, like, I don't know why you're doing this. Like, shut the fuck up.
Oh my god. It's just, how many years in a row did we as Sixers fans, like you and I, have to suffer through the same formulaic trash that he tried to run? Like, you've won a championship, okay? That's great, Doc. Let's go ahead and rewind and look and just take a nice hard look at who was on that team, okay? I don't like, you were in a wheelbarrow and those motherfuckers were pushing you, carrying you, whatever you want, like whatever word you want to use, okay? That was a big three that I could have coached to a championship. I'm sorry. It was like they were a big four because Rondo was insane back then.
Right.
Like, that team was nuts. So, and then you have an insane amount of talent on the Clippers. You're there for a long time. And you cannot win still, somehow. Like, you had a team that was built to do anything. You had some of the best three-point shooters in history, literally. Like, and you had Blake Griffin in his prime, who at that point, that dude could fly, basically. You had Chris Paul, who was in his point guard prime. You had DeAndre Jordan, who had knees that still worked.
And he was in the running for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah. Every single, like, for 4 years straight? And then you had Jamal Crawford and JJ Redick. There. You had, like, that, you had that, and they never got past, did they make a conference finals? I don't.
Nope.
Yeah. So, and then you come here, and, like, you have the MVP, Harden, Tobias, who is versatile. You just actually have to know how to use him right. Because the dude he's top 15 in defense this year. Because they're letting him actually use that part of his game. And then especially last year, you have Tyrese Maxey, and you're just looking at him like he's an afterthought.
And his very first year had Ben Simmons, who could still actually play basketball.
Yeah. But even with Ben, it's like, you know what his skill set is, and you know what he isn't going to do. So just, like, put him in a position on the floor to do what he's actually good at. Like, why is he out by the three-point line? I want him moving. He's 6'9", and he's fast as shit. Like, make defenders tired. It's not hard to have that kind of mindset. But that, like, I look at last year, too. Like, let's take the Maxey thing, right? So you're going to somehow say you knew Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was going to be the superstar. That that came to you in a dream, But you're gonna look at Maxey and pretend that you can't see the same thing, and he's already on your team and he's not going anywhere. But you're not going to use him. Yeah. Just the way JJ said no accountability was so spot on, because it just literally, if Doc Rivers is involved, it's not his fault according to him. It cannot be his fault because X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And it's been like that for let's say 16 years since the Boston championship, because nothing's gone really right since that moment. And I just don't understand. Even looking at the Bucks, like, why were you listening to whatever or whoever you were listening to that said dump that coach? To then move on to this guy who hasn't made it past the second round in a literal like eternity in the sports world. It just makes no sense. And that's why JJ looks so heated, because he's just like, he's been on his teams. He's experienced the BS in every aspect. So if anyone's going to be able to speak to it, it's literally him. And that's why for someone to rebuttal JJ, like Beverly did, like
Austin Rivers.
Yeah, well, Austin Rivers, I'm like, yeah, it's your dad. Shut the fuck up. Like,
exactly.
Like, whatever opinion you might have, we know what you're going to say because that's your dad. Like, we don't need to hear from you. And then, like, I know Pat Bev has a podcast. He's going to talk about it because it's a thing that just happened. Like, I get it. But you cannot possibly have the perspective. You cannot. And like that, JJ has so much ammo, and he's been holding it and hoarding it for so long, and it finally kind of came out, and it was just, yeah. And it was nice that Shannon and Steven just kind of sat there and let him do it, because I think it needed to happen. Because I think the whole NBA world's felt that for a while about Doc.
Oh yeah.
Well, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
All right, so it makes me wonder, though, like, what happened between JJ and Doc, though, that made JJ so... I mean, he played for him on separate occasions. I think it's kind of a bad look, though, as much as... I don't know. Something had to have happened to where JJ attacked him like that. But anyway, I don't blame Doc Rivers, though, for the Bucks being trash. I don't blame him for not being as high on Maxey, especially after Maxey wasn't where he was last season, where he is this season, which we've talked about that before. But when you look at the Bucks, you know, for one, Budenholzer shouldn't have been fired.
Nope.
Especially for a guy who had no coaching experience, who is not a good coach. And to bring in Doc, I mean, okay, I'd rather have Doc than Adrian Griffin, but the Bucks' problems have been the Bucks' problems for years, and I don't think it's fair, though, for anybody, whether you think he's accountable or not, to blame Doc Rivers, especially when he's only been there for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'm not putting all of the Bucks' issues squarely on Doc Rivers' shoulders. That I can wait for until the end of the season to see what happens and how it plays out.
Yeah.
Especially, like you said, he's only been there for like a hot minute. He has not been there long at all. I think his record with the Bucks right now is like 4-7 or 5-7 or something like that. So he really hasn't been there all that much. I think JJ Redick has perfectly enough ammo to go on, like Tom said. Like, yeah, he played for Doc in Orlando, played for Doc a little bit in the Clippers. When he played for the Sixers, he actually played for Brett Brown. His 2 seasons on the Sixers were with Brett Brown. And those were his highest scoring seasons of his career. He was still hitting threes in a tremendous clip, around 40 to 42%, putting up the most threes he ever had in his career, had a big offensive role. Defense, obviously, JJ Redick's not known for his defense. That's just never going to happen. But you had guys like Pat Bev and Austin Rivers talking about, like, oh, Doc made your career. And it's like, JJ Redick was this guy at Duke. It was the same guy in the NBA that he was at Duke. Literally the same exact guy. He happened to be on Doc Rivers' teams, and he was known as the best three-point shooter, or one of the best three-point shooters in the league. anybody would go get a guy like JJ Redick. It just happened to be that he was on Doc Rivers' teams. And as we saw after he left Doc Rivers' teams, even at the age of 33 and 34 with the Sixers, he was good enough to score with the best of them in terms of shooting and be able to be a contributor on a team that is a playoff contender. Now, there's something I found on Reddit because I wanted to really bring this up for this segment because, to be honest, I was giving a little bit of credit to Doc Rivers for his Celtics tenure because he did coach them to a championship. Should they have won more championships? I think yes. Could it be arguable? Sure. However, this user on Reddit, I'm sorry, I don't remember what your username was. I didn't have it on the screenshot, but it said, if you take a deep dive into the championship run in 2008, it's actually pretty unimpressive from a coaching perspective. Now, it took this team of 4 current/future Hall of Famers with Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Rajon Rondo, 26 postseason games to win the finals. That is the most amount of games played by a single team in a postseason all time. It took them the most amount of games all time to win the finals. In the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, and now let's also rewind a little bit. It's not because they played the best teams ever. They were the number 1 seed. So they're not playing the top teams the entire playoffs. In the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, the Celtics didn't even win a single road playoff game. Overall, the 07-08 Celtics were 3-9 on the road in the playoffs. In the first round, the Celtics were up 2-0 against the 37-45 Atlanta Hawks. The Celtics were 66-16 in the regular season, by the way. It took Doc and the Celtics 7 games to beat the Hawks after being up 2-0. In the second round, they were up 2-0 again against LeBron James and the Cavs. Went to Game 7 again. Paul Pierce scored 41 points to go against LeBron's 45. They ended up winning by 5 points. In the conference finals, the Celtics finally won a road game and finally won a series in less than 7 games. They beat the Pistons in 6. In the finals, they won the first 2 games, lost the next 2 out of 3 in Los Angeles, but the 1 road win was at least good enough to win in 6 games. Now, in this playoff run, Ray Allen shot 40% from 3. Kevin Garnett shot nearly 50% from the field, averaged 10.5 rebounds, 20.4 points. Paul Pierce, 36% from 3, 44% from the field, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists a game. Rondo, 6 assists, 1.7 steals. Perkins shot nearly 60% from the field. Bench players Eddie House and James Posey shot over 35% from 3-point. So it's not even like your players didn't perform. All of your players performed to an extremely high level, and you still blew multiple 2-0 leads to go to Game 7s against teams that were a lot worse than yours and ended up needing 26 games to win the finals.
I mean, I don't disagree with you with that stuff. My problem is now, though, I just think that Doc is being attacked and he shouldn't be attacked. The Doc and the Bucks thing, they're completely separate issues, but they're intertwining now because obviously Doc's the coach, but the Bucks issues are, we've talked about it, and right. It's, it starts with Giannis. Is my biggest problem is Giannis.
Right.
All right. For the fact that this guy can't figure out how to make free throws.
Yeah.
Like, that would be the easiest thing to correct. And his shooting is just not good. The team is old. We've talked about that. To me, it starts there. Now, even if Doc doesn't take them to the NBA championship, which he's not going to, it's not going to, but nobody's going to. The way that team is, nobody is going to make that team competitive.
I agree.
Just because they're so old.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how Middleton's been out now again.
Yep.
His latest ailment, a knee injury. Damian Lillard doesn't look like he did in Portland, which is understandable. But then you have a starting lineup of a Brook Lopez, who's certainly well past his prime. Bobby Portis, who is nowhere near as good. You've had to start Jay Crowder. You got Malik Beasley as a routine starter on your team. You've had to start Andre Jackson in your starting lineup. You've had to Marjan Beauchamp hasn't done anything. You don't have a reliable backup point guard. So my whole point is that Doc's going to get attacked for obvious reasons, and God forbid anybody attack Giannis because he's the savior and he's everybody's favorite player. But to me, Giannis needs to be addressed. His conduct on the court is just not. He acts like a baby. He's very immature. He hasn't progressed. So to me, the Bucks' issues are with Giannis first before anybody else, because it's no coincidence that the Bucks struggled under Budenholzer in some ways, at least enough to where he got fired. The Bucks struggled under Adrian Griffin. At least, when I mean struggle, I mean not play up to their standards, because Adrian Griffin certainly didn't have a horrible record in Milwaukee, and now Doc is there. Do we notice a trend here? How come we've gone through 3 coaches now?
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I don't think. Yeah. I won't blame. I will not blame Doc for what's happening with the Bucks. I think coaching changes or not, the derailment was gonna come, especially with injuries. And they are older, so they're gonna feel more banged up as the season goes on. It's just when Doc says just a bunch of goofy shit, because it just fits his trend wherever he's been. Is he just he'll throw players under the bus, like JJ said. I wish they were being treated as separate things, though.
Right.
It's like the timelines converged, and they decided to just be oh, well, let's just shit on everything. Yeah. So I agree. I agree with where you're coming from too.
Yeah, I think it's just a combo of we have seen this from Doc so many times, and now it's just finally, it feels like it finally was the last straw, because we didn't see Doc until this season, and it became a big thing because Doc was taking over halfway through the season. So now it's just now him doing that is just magnified. Right now, I mean, like you said, the Bucks' issues aren't squarely on Doc. Right now on Bovada, the Bucks aren't even the favorite to win the Central Division anymore. The Cavs are at -150. The Bucks are at +110. So they're not even the favorites. And
where's Indiana? Just for reference,
is +4,000.
Jesus, and they're third. Are they third right now?
Yeah, third.
Yeah. I was gonna say, that's crazy.
Yep. Fourth are the Bulls at +100,000. And
everybody, get your money together. We're going in.
Yeah, but my whole point though is that
the Pistons aren't even listed.
Well,
+8 billion. Oh shit!
I mean, Doc acts like a buffoon. All right, yeah. But for some reason, JJ is Doc being a buffoon. Now he's making it seem, talk about accountability and how the Bucks suck. And I think they're not even related.
I wish he had just said it in a way take accountability for the mistakes that you've made within any given game. You know what I mean? I wish he had worded it like that. If you on a given night subbed out the wrong guy at the wrong time, own that. Or, you know what I mean? Just put it in a pocket. Don't be so broad with it. Because if you just throw out, you never take accountability at all, then what it tells the world is you're saying the reason the Bucks are shit right now, or not playing up to their potential, as you said, is just squarely on on your players, or whatever blame throwing is happening. But it could have been a lot clearer. But it was a heated rant, so I think he was, what I mean, he's just going off. But right. He needed to aim.
And the thing that's crazy is even after that, and after the rebuttals and so on and so forth, literally right after the Bucks-Sixers game, somebody asked him about the Sixers-Celtics playoff series, and he just says, I don't know. Maybe they were better. I think Embiid should have gotten the ball more. I mean, that was the plan. We planned for him to get the ball more, but I don't know how hurt he was.
How do you not know?
You're the
As
fucking
the head coach. As the head coach of the fucking team, how do you not know? I'm sorry. Like
there are conversations.
Here's the thing with Embiid: just assume he's hurt because he usually is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But also,
like
you
need to know.
Him hobbling.
Like you need to know. You have to know. He is your guy. Like you don't know, find the fuck out.
Right.
Like you see him hobbling, get him off the floor. Like this is not a moment of get him off. Don't care. Get him off.
And on top of it, he's like, well, the plan was to get him the ball. I don't know why it didn't happen. If that was the plan, legitimately the plan, and your team wasn't getting him the ball, then you put in guys who are going to get him the ball. That flat out. Pop, and that's my favorite thing. Going back to that stupid fucking press conference when he was like, would you ask Popovich that question? No, because Popovich actually fucking does shit.
Yeah.
He actually would put the other day, Keldon Johnson fouled a guy 4 minutes into his playing time. Pop didn't put him in the rest of the fucking game. He played 4 minutes. Because he's making a point. Doc Rivers never does that. He doesn't do stuff where he's like, look, this is our game plan. Follow the game plan, or else I'm putting someone in who can. That's why Popovich is different.
I think Doc's coaching style does not allow for like teachable moments as much, and that's a major issue in a league where like we see younger teams now, like minus like Donovan on Cleveland. Most of their stars are younger, and then obviously Oklahoma City has what they have already and 1 million first-round picks over the next like 3 or 4 years. Like those are you need a coach who can actually nurture the best out of your players, especially the young players, so they can become stars. Doc doesn't have that. Most of the teams genuinely, actually, most of the teams he's coached on have had like established players or guys traded in to create a team. And I mean, especially the Clippers, in my opinion. Like he had Blake and DeAndre when they were younger, but then you bring in Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul would have been more of a mentor to them than Doc ever could have even tried to be. Like,
but the hell's Chris Paul going to show anybody how to do? Not play?
But it's just like, I mean now, yeah, but back then, it's just. But hearing shit like that, it just kills me because it's just. Like, we watched all these games, and we suffered through yet another second-round loss. And you just hear like, kind of throwaway comments like that. It's like, he's literally the dude who won the MVP last year, and you're just going to tell me you didn't know how hurt he was? And you're just going to stop there. Yeah. That's frustrating.
Beyond frustrating. With that said, let's get to Duncan versus Jokic here, since we're going pretty long. We'll get to the last couple topics we have. So Duncan versus Jokic has been an internet debate lately because I forget who said it. It was somebody from a podcast or something, and they said that they would take Jokic over Tim Duncan right now. And then Tim Duncan was actually asked about it. And he had a very Tim Duncan response where he said, I played him after I was me, but before he was him. Which a lot of people didn't like really understand what he meant, but it meant he played him when he was 40 years old and Jokic was like a rookie.
Yeah.
And Jokic was even asked about it, and Jokic said how he dropped such an effortless 20 points on him even at the age of 40. And like Tim Duncan is just such a great player. And like Jokic never has a bad word to say about anybody. He literally praises everybody that they ask him about. And the guy, he's a stand-up guy. All he wants to do is fucking race horses. Just leave him be.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, seriously. And like I said earlier on Bovada, Jokic is the leader to win MVP. The Nuggets are the favorite to win the Western Conference. So still up there in everything. And I will drop the stat comparison in here for the people watching on YouTube. So they did have the head-to-head, the 2 games. They were 1-1, but that's not really the whole point. This is the overall stats. essentially, yes, Jokic is leading in all of the categories except for rebounds, blocks, and value over replacement player. This is Duncan's entire career, Jokic's entire career so far. And with the awards and honors, I mean, obviously, yeah, with Duncan, the 5 championships, 10 first team All NBAs, 15 All NBAs in general, 15 All defenses. Like, I am a known, I don't want to say Jokic hater. I hated him for a long time just because of the discourse between him and Joel Embiid. But I respect Jokic's game. However, I'm still taking Tim Duncan, especially at this stage of Jokic's career. I'm still taking Tim Duncan. I've always been a defense kind of guy, and Duncan's defense is light years above Jokic. I mean, 15 all defense teams compared to 0 should tell you enough.
And eight of them are first team.
Yes.
That's what's nuts, is more than half were first team.
I mean, but why does everything have to be a debate? Why can't we talk about this after they're both retired?
Because people don't have the patience for that.
And then 2, why can't they just be good in their own ways? Like,
they can.
Yeah, I think we can have that perspective because we just love the game. At least I do. Like, I like both players a lot. The reason I do like Jokic is because of how he is off the court. He's just a dude. Like, he's not out here talking shit. He's, like you said, he's literally respectful of, like, everyone. But he'll stand up for his teammates on the floor if some shit goes down without hesitation. Like, I love that. But just even, you have this graphic right here. The one thing that I just can't take my eyes off of is that value over replacement. The gap there is, that is shocking. But that is what Tim Duncan was for the Spurs for 20 years.
Yeah.
Is if you don't have Timmy, you are absolutely screwed. Like, you have that, you know what I mean? And besides like LeBron when he was on the Cavs, like, I can't remember a player that like epitomized or mattered that much to a team. And then like Allen Iverson for the Sixers in the early 2000s, it was like, if he's not there, you're not going to win a game. But like the Spurs, coaching wise, they could still grab some wins, but they didn't have anything behind him that was close to that, like his level.
Exactly.
And then my dad is like the biggest Tim Duncan fan I've known. So anytime the Spurs were on, we would watch because it was just like Mr. Fundamental. Like, he just played basketball. And it didn't matter what age he was. At most moments, he looked better than the dude that was guarding him. And he could outsmart him because his like basketball IQ was just ludicrously high. At every part of it, he will out-defend you. If he wants to score on you, he will find a way. And if he wants to make you look silly passing to Manu on the outside, he's going to do it. Like, he was just incredible.
I wonder who Joey Crawford would say is better.
Joey Crawford would say that Tim Duncan is the worst player in NBA history.
Oh my god. I can't even imagine that.
Like, the playoff numbers too, I mean, they're very similar in terms of like rebounds and all sorts of different things like that. Like, the thing about these two in general as well is just like, they're both known to not be like, they're not dunking over people. They're not like throwing up the flashiest shots or have like the flashiest ball handling. Jokic has some flashy passes and things like that because of his court vision and everything like that. But like you said, Tim Duncan, the big fundamental, it was just cool to watch him play basketball because he would kill you with footwork, bank shots, hook shots, literally anything that was technical, Tim Duncan could do. And I think that this day and age, people don't respect that as much because he's not flashy. And it's just like a lot of the newer fans of the NBA saw Tim Duncan in his later stages, which still was very good, but it wasn't prime Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think a lot of people saw Tim Duncan and realized like he has 3 finals MVPs, 2 league MVPs, and 15 all NBAs and all defenses. Like,
Yeah. If you watched like the 14, yeah, it was like what he was in the 14 finals. I think I have that year right.
Yeah, I think so.
14. That was versus. Yeah, that would have been my
Against
like
the Heat,
the
right?
big threes last year, right? Or Miami's like last. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you see him then. He did not look like a problem. Like you wouldn't ever want to take him off the floor because he was just contributing what you needed. Like.
Right.
And he was just, I mean, he was a rookie in what, 99? Or 98
97.
even? Yeah, so it's like, I was 3 years old when this man's came into the league. And here I am at 20 in 2014 watching this dude be a force. Like, that completely breaks my brain because it's like, we can watch LeBron do it, but you look at LeBron and you're like, your genetics are just like, and your work ethic to keep yourself in this shape is what's allowing you to just continue. Right. Like with Timmy, it was just literally, he was so meticulous on the floor.
And yeah, so but did he ever take get a bat with his bare hands and take it? And
that is a good question. That's a very good question.
So until he does that, I don't want
Manu's the pro.
Yeah, Manu needed to teach him the ways.
But the thing with Tim Duncan too is his personality was literally like, leave me alone, I just want to play basketball. And back then there wasn't so many cameras and social media and all that, so like he literally could just say, let me play basketball and shut up. Whereas Jokic, like, people are following him around. There's podcasts now. There's, people are taking videos of him like when he's riding his horses, and they're like finding out little things about him, and he's starting to talk a little bit more in the media and things like that. And they're asking him all these questions. Like, Tim Duncan just is kind of that kind of stuff, like, doesn't stay in your brain because he just didn't care about the media or care about anybody knowing his life. He just wanted to play basketball, and that's it. So people just don't remember it.
They're like super similar though in that, you know what I mean? Like they genuinely, they're 2 peas in a pod in that. Like the media was just not something they wanted to even be like near at any point. Sure. Especially like obviously now it's like forced upon Jokic a lot more than it could have been with Duncan because of just technology. So I completely agree with that. But it's, I mean, I even reading quotes from players that played against Duncan. When they would try to trash talk him, he would just literally be like, dude, shut up. And then he would just, like, he was literally like, I'm just trying to play, man. And then even Jokic, it's like, I don't even know if that man wants to play basketball, really. I think he's expressed that he kind of is just like, I'm good at it, so here we are. I'm going to retire at some point and own, like, 1,000 horses. Like, that's where he's going.
I hope there is some kind of documentary about him and his horses once he's done.
Oh, there needs to be. But they better get his permission, because if it's over in his home country, he's just going to end up killing people, probably.
His brothers, especially.
Yeah, his brothers are the Serbian hit squad. They're just going to come out of nowhere.
Yep. So, just to finish things off for the last topic here, so we don't go too late. NBA competition staff, but we're going to lump 2 things together. We also talked about, like, the Heat and the Pelicans fight. I know Dennis was big into that one for sure. But also the NBA competition staff today, Tuesday, talking about looking into the fact that offense is being favored more and how they can balance out the defense, as if that was a far out of left field topic because, everyone thought that defense was so favored.
I mean, this is what they wanted, isn't it?
That's what I thought.
So, I mean, it's awful coincidental, though, that we're in this spot after they just set a record at the All-Star game, and now all of a sudden they want to start bashing offense and start talking about how defense. I mean, they literally made it this way.
True.
To the point where everything is a review. You got to review everything. The game stops, and you got to, look at whether the ball went off a guy's pinky Look at that. 10 different angles, 5 minutes. There just was that a clear path foul? Was did he, was the shooter coming down and was the defender approaching him as he was coming down? Was that a flagrant one? Was that a flagrant two? They made it this way.
True.
To the point where you can't do anything as a defender. And now you want to talk about whether something's lopsided or not? Get the fuck out of here. Because this is exactly what they wanted. They wanted more scoring and things. But let me tell you, I enjoy watching guys, go after loose balls. I enjoy good defense. And it's just something. And when you talk about guys of today, who's better than guys before, there's completely different ways that things are being done now. And now we're talking about it. I mean, it took them long enough.
Like, if you brought Dennis Rodman from the Bulls championship teams, even when he's older at that point, if you brought him here now and told him to play the exact same way, the dude would get banned from the league after like 2 games. Like, it just... It's like the level, the degree to which referees will call fouls now. Is so obnoxious to me.
And you can't say anything to them.
Yeah,
the minute you say something,
you get teed up, and then you say another thing, and then you get ejected, and then you get fined. Like there's softness at every level now. It blows my mind too, because it's like this game is so much better with a degree of physicality. It just is. And I think you watch old championships, and it's just like you're like when the Celtics would play the Pistons, the bad boy Pistons. Holy shit! Like just entertainment value, just literally through the roof because guys are just like blasting each other, trying to just get to their position, get a shot off. Defense was actually literally about just smothering. It you know what I mean? It wasn't some like, oh, I have to stay at this distance because if I touch his fucking fingernail, they're going to call a shooting foul, even though the ball's still lower than his dick. He hasn't pulled up yet. I just don't understand it. And especially, like, I'll point fingers at Embiid a little bit. I will. I'm not going to call him a flopper, but the dude knows how fouls are called, which is why he gets to the line more, because he's paying attention. But that's something that shouldn't happen. Right. You shouldn't have players fully, like, just thinking about what fouls can I draw. It should be about, in my mind, how can I score, and if I get fouled, it becomes a better play. It's just the art of basketball has faded a little bit because it is not as much of a two-way game now. You can't defend a guy to your fullest ability. You have to hold back. Genuinely, unless you somehow are like a Gary Payton level of being able to just hit all ball all the time, like you can't get away with it anymore, and that's why you see games. I mean, I put some of the scores from some of the games this week on here on this little note sheet because I'm like some of them are so stupid, like Thunder 147 to the Wizards 106. How are we like at a point now where a team is putting up 147 in a regular season? Like just
pace is higher than it's ever been.
Casually, like it's casually too. It's not, you know what I mean. If you watch the highlights of that, it's not like anyone's going a million miles an hour, like trying to get down floor to just, you know what I mean. It's just normal pace of game, but you like defense is just somewhere. And when you see the low scoring games. Like the Sixers Cavs is a good example. The last one we played with them because they were missing Mitchell, we were missing Embiid. That's like 30 points per game on each side, ish. So you put them both back in, I guarantee you that finals like 115, 120 ish, and closer. It pisses me off because
there was the one Pacers game that was like 150 to 140.
Yeah, and you're watching that, you're like I'll see that one time, but I don't need to see it all the time because they're not actually playing basketball. It's the same problem as the All-Star game. It's the same thing. It's leeching into the basketball that we actually want to watch. But it's just at this point now where, like, it's a good thing he's saying we need to actually look at it. Like, at least they're acknowledging, like, this is the state we have allowed the game to get to, or we've brought the game to, isn't good. Like, there needs to be an ability for defenders to actually play.
Right.
Like, I see Rudy Gobert winning Defensive Players of the Year just because he has the most blocks. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, but I want to see all those plays where it's literally you one-on-one on the outside and you made that guy look silly, got the ball from him. Or just, or the shot clock violation because he could not get around you. Like, that kind of shit. Because now it's just, oh, let me put my shoulder into my defender. Oh, all right, cool, I drew the blocking foul.
That's why you rarely ever see perimeter players win Defensive Player of the Year anymore, is because they can't. Marcus Smart won it, and it was a momentous thing because if you're playing perimeter defense, you can't touch anybody, especially like when you're covering a guy like Trae Young, who has literally learned how to manipulate every single foul call from everywhere on the floor. If you brought back hand checking, you could eliminate half of the flops from like 3 or half of the flops from like mid-range or whatever, because hand checking is allowed again. So, I at least am happy that they, like you said, they acknowledged it and they're going to take a look at it. But it's really just like, why did this take so long, first off? Yeah. And second off, like Dennis said, you are the issue. You are the problem, NBA. Yep. So it's like right now on Bovada, there is a bet that you can place for Luka Doncic to score 70-plus points in another game. Yes is plus 1,400. So it's like not even that out of
That's not crazy. Like, that's not crazy enough for what that number is. Like,
and there's another one for any player to score 82 plus points in a regular season game this year. If you bet the yes, it's plus 3,500.
That should be like plus 10,000, literally, as a minimum. Because, like, even rewind like 5 years, just 5, right? And let's go look at the 65 plus point games in NBA history. The list has gotten much longer in that short amount of time. And it's like when Kobe did it, when Kobe had the 81, that broke everyone's entire brain. Because even when he did it, you could play a little tighter. I mean, that was what, 2000, what year was that? It's 15 years. It was a while.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Like, then you could actually just play. There's still soft fouls, but it's because it wasn't the 90s anymore.
Right.
But you look at it now, it's like Luka scored all those points because he just could, because the game allows that. If a player's hot enough, it can literally just happen, and because it was Luka, he had a better chance of making it happen because the dude's incredible. Like, but it kills me because it's like I want to see that once every like 2 years.
Yeah. I don't want to see it every game.
Yeah, at most, because I want to see players play defense. Like, one of the reasons I loved Ben Simmons before the drama was that dude could play some fucking defense.
Oh yeah, he got robbed of Defensive Player of the Year
completely. Because he didn't play defense like a pussy. He was like bold and aggressive, but he wasn't stupid. So it wasn't like constant stupid foul calls all the time. He'd have some games where he was off, and it was like, all right, you probably shouldn't have slapped the dude in the ass. Like, you swung and missed there. It's okay, but you watch it now, like, Defensive Player of the Year this year, it's going to come down to Gobert again because he's in it every year. Even if he plays like shit, he's always in it.
Yeah,
I think Donovan Mitchell deserves it this year because he's just like, to be able to score as well as he does and then be your team's best defender, and at current moment the highest in defensive win shares. Like, that's impressive. Like we need to appreciate him for that more.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
the funny thing about that is, at least on Bovada, I don't know what the others are saying right now, but so Gobert is leading in Defensive Player of the Year odds with minus 800. Donovan
Shocker.
Mitchell's not even listed. After him is Wembanyama, who, don't get me wrong, Wembanyama has been a great defensive player in his rookie year so far. He's at plus 1,300. Then you got Giannis at 1,500. Jared Allen, Gilgeous-Alexander, both at 1,500 as well. Then you got Bam Adebayo, Anthony Davis, Chet Holmgren, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Herbert Jones.
Some of those names I agree. White's up there.
Yeah.
White's been great. And Drew is literally that's been his bread and butter his entire career. Is the dude is just he'll stick to you like glue. You can't shake him, which love that about him. Hate that he's a Celtic now, but
agreed.
We'll always support him because he's just another one of those good dudes in the league. But I look at Donovan Mitchell's two-way game and I'm just like, this guy still is underappreciated. Like 100%. It like he wanted out of Utah. Every single person on this planet would want out of Utah. I'm sorry.
True.
Like, that's not a state you want to live in. They're most known for Mormons that ate each other. Like that's Utah. Cool. Like have fun. But it kills me too now because I'm like this is a much bigger market that he's in now. He's in a division now with Boston, New York, and Philly. You know what I mean? Like we know, or like he's like right next to us. We play him all the time. We're gonna play each other in the playoffs. They get more TV time now, so people see him.
Yep. Way
more than they would, and he still doesn't get the respect. I meant to say conference, not division. It's like help, because if like I don't know how they can improve these kind of awards. I really don't, because I don't know what the panel is that decides it. That I want to know desperately.
It's hard because it's always the media that gets the votes, and the media is the one that drives the narratives, and then the narratives are what drive the votes. So it's just like,
and the media suck at this sort of thing, and we know they do. Like the awards in baseball. That's if whoever like guys who take care of that, not the Hall of Fame, because the Baseball Hall of Fame is the worst shambles in all of sports as far as voting goes. But the people who decide who wins Cy Young and who wins the MVP and like who gets the Gold Gloves and all that, like because there's so many awards, because there's so many positions and everything, and it's unique in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very rare that they get it wrong to such a degree where there would be an outrage. Like there's always like whoever they pick, you can go, okay, I see why. Right. There's reasons.
I feel like I very rarely hear complaints from baseball fans and everything about awards.
Yeah.
Other than Hall of Fame, like you said.
But then you look like, because I'm sorry, but we're going to go on like it's a 2-second tangent. Barry Bonds and Pete Rose should be in the fucking Hall of Fame.
Right.
I don't give a shit what they did. It's shit like that. That they're just like, they're in the trash. Get them out.
Yeah.
Those voters. But then I look at the NBA and I'm like, those same guys might be freaking over here too. Because I watch Rudy Gobert. I'm like, yeah, you can play defense. Cool. You can't do fuck all else. Like, you are a awkward, weirdly lanky dude, and that's why you can play defense. Congrats. Yeah. But you're like the fourth best player on your team.
Exactly.
Like, you're way down there. I would rather, like, there's a hockey award, the Selke, which is the best defensive forward. So, but it's like a perfect award because they get that right a lot too. Like, they're gonna get it wrong this year because I saw the list this year and I'm like, that's not. But if they had a mindset like that, where it doesn't matter what position you're supposed to be. Like, he's a center, so you're expecting him to be a shot blocker and be this just wall. Mm-hmm. Mitchell's not a big dude, so you don't like. you don't look at him and go, oh, he's going to be this, 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 and this. But he is. Like, he forces steals, he forces turnovers on bad passes, even if he doesn't make contact. He's fast as shit with his hands and his feet. Like, he gets in people's faces. He plays the game so well that it's like he should be the dude. Like the fact that he's not even on that entire list of odds that you just said, like, blows my mind. For anyone who's actually watched the Cavs this year,
I know it's crazy.
They're second in the East. Like,
we're also talking about the same list though that never featured Joel Embiid, even though the advanced stats, the traditional stats, all of it showed that the team was better on defense when he's on the floor. He is one of the best defensive centers in the league, on top of being the best offensive center. And yet he's still never mentioned anywhere near the like lead as that in that category.
Yeah.
Even though he also, I'm pretty sure he has multiple all defensive teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he has 3 of them. But like, for some reason, isn't mentioned ever in like the top 5 of Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, well, that's my point. If he even has a single first team, like all the NBA defense, that means he was in the top 5.
Right.
Literally. Like, statistically, he was in the top 5. So if he's not in the voting, then you're like, what are we looking at, actually? Because there's literal data to tell you this man is a top 5 defensive player in the league. And then even when you watch, like, when we play the Timberwolves for the last however many years, Karl Anthony Towns cannot do a fucking thing when Embiid is on him. He can't move him. Nothing. Same with Jokic. When they actually do play, if Jokic is doing his passing shit, then Embiid's going to struggle because Jokic is a wizard. But like, if they're going 1-on-1 where they have to use their strength and their weight and their agility, Embiid just looks like an athlete, and Jokic looks like a guy. Like, right. When they're just touching, you know what I mean? Like, in that closed space, especially on defense, it's not even close. It's not even close. Like, that's the one edge I would always, for all time, give Embiid over Jokic. It's the scoring and then his ability to defend.
Oh, yeah.
It's leagues apart. And then what Jokic has is the team, like, the distribution mentality. He is very, very good at using his height and reach to create space and get guys open and find the open guys. Like, they play 2 different styles.
Oh yeah.
But that, like, it just, and then Giannis defensively, I'm like, yeah, okay, he's got really long arms. But I don't watch Giannis and go, wow, that dude's, like, I don't think of like Gary Payton, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, like, even MJ won Defensive Player of the Year. Like, I don't think of him in that light at all.
And he was one of the ones that won Defensive Player of the Year that a lot of people said he won it because of how good he is at help defense, which never was a thing for Defensive Player of the Year until it got to this point where defensive players can't play defense because of the rule. So,
well, you're not one-on-oneing a guy. You're not I'll put it like this: if you're not winning most of the one-on-one, you are the primary defender on a guy matchups.
Yep.
Then like, you're not eligible.
Yeah.
You're not.
That should be it.
Marcus Smart winning was special because he was special that year. Like,
exactly.
I dislike his stupid green hair when he was on the Celtics. Like, I hated looking at him. But that's what you want from a defender, is you want it. Like, if you're the Celtics, you want everyone to hate that guy, because that means he's doing a good job.
Exactly.
And everyone fucking hated him.
Couldn't stand playing against him because I knew he was going to blow up a play every other play.
Yeah. That dude, I don't care he can't score like 20 points a game. They never needed or wanted that from him, really, unless guys were hurt.
Right.
If they had their full repertoire and he could be out there for a decent amount of minutes, which he always would be, because if you look at like average defensive rating with or without Marcus Smart for the Celtics the last like 3 years, I guarantee you that difference is humongous.
Oh yeah,
like
for sure.
he's just, yeah, he's special, but we can't expect special anymore. That's the problem. It's like softness is, these people are too soft.
Exactly. And like, is that us getting old? It probably is part of it, but it's also the fact that they are just soft.
Well, it's like I don't even think it's like us getting old. It's just the game is evolving in a direction that doesn't actually. It's like reverse evolution. It's going backwards because you're removing a whole fundamental.
Right.
Like defense is something that every single player should be practicing and learning, and you can't because the rules are so skewed that you can't practice for that. Like, you're never going to have drills where you're doing reaches all fucking day because you need to not touch a certain body part when you go to reach for a ball because it's going to get whistled. Like, that's not logical. But that's where we're at.
Completely agree. I'm just glad that they're finally looking at it.
Yeah, they need to actually do it, though. Like, actually look at it and review it with intent, not just to get like media credit. Oh, we're aware, and then nothing changes. Like, this could be a moment for Adam Silver to actually be a good commish.
Yeah, I was just about to say this could really like make or break Adam Silver's like actual tenure as the NBA commissioner, because if he does something well and actually brings back the defensive side of the game and brings back entertainment in that aspect, I think he would go down as amazing because of it.
Yeah. When you see these highlights of 6 steals, it's like the crowd goes nuts.
Yeah.
Like crowds go nuts. The real fans who appreciate what basketball is will love to have that back. So let's do this. Let's cross our fingers real hard.
Exactly. But that was our last topic of the night. Dennis had to jump off because he couldn't hold his pee in anymore. So he was just like, I couldn't hold it.
I mean, we have all been there, have we not?
Exactly. So I get it. But thank you everybody for tuning in. Tom, do you have anything to plug? Any projects, any sites, anything?
Honestly, not right now. I'm hoping I'll be on again. So if I actually think of anything, we'll get to that. But I'm usually not that guy anyway.
I got you. We'll definitely have you on again. I mean, we love having our guests come back every now and again, especially to revisit stuff that we talked about before. So I'm sure whenever we see Doc Rivers blow a 3-1 lead, we'll be back
coming.
Just like Doc Rivers, I see it in the future.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, but instead of Doc Rivers, my vision's 2020, and his is rear view. He's just like, oh, this thing happened, and I'm just gonna claim it.
Exactly.
Fucking turd.
LeBron's the chosen one. I was telling people all the time.
Dude, I was there in the birthing room, dude. He got pulled out the womb. I said, that's the guy. Like,
when he was born, I was like, that guy's different.
I came to his parents. I told him the path. Oh my god.
Man.
What a disaster.
Well, thank you everybody for watching and listening to another episode of The Atlantic Files, the #1 podcast on the #1 division in the NBA. Brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell below for notifications. It lets you know when we go live, usually every Tuesday night, if not Wednesday nights. We're everywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Google. The audio version usually comes out like a day or two after this video version. So if you're looking for that, be on the lookout. That will be out shortly. So thanks again for joining, Tom. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, everybody, and we'll catch you guys next week. Peace.